Yeah, and actually, I just did an export for a non-customer that I just like a lot. They're like, "I'm not going to buy it." I'm like, "Let me do you some free work." Yeah, I'm a bad salesman. I'm a good friend though. I did some exploration and I said, "Here's what I did. The company is called Clay.Run. It's a really cool sales tool, and it is like kind of no code automation, right?" And so my new friend Kareem just joined there, and I said, "Look, what I did is I looked at our database and I pulled anyone with a sales, marketing, growth, or revenue title where there are keyword groups, low code, no code, automation, systems. And I gave him a single text file of all of those jobs. So it's like, look, you're trying to figure out where you should position yourself. Should you be a sales tool? Should you be a marketing tool? Or should you be a tool for recruiters? Well, I'm going to tell you which groups of titles talk about systems or automation or connections, and who's expecting folks with no code or sort of business folks basically to do things that really kind of require engineering. And so now you can understand both magnitude and the magnitude and amplitude of the problem. So how many people are actively sort of hiring for folks that have an expectation to do some of these low code things, and then how do they talk about the problems? So my guess is that if he finds that there are 10 sales folks and 50 marketing folks and 5,000 recruiters that talk about automation, they're going to start talking about it in certain ways. And he can use that information to say, aha, for me to now I understand my market a little bit better, how people are thinking about this. And am I the Newton or the iPod or the iPad Pro? And now I know who to go after and where to niche down and what shouldn't I do. Because I don't know, the one thing I've learned in business is that the best thing you can do is stop doing a lot of things. So yeah, it absolutely will help with positioning because you're not inventing things and testing it out. You're looking at how the market talks and what problems the market has, and then you're making a bet based on data. And so, yeah, it of course can help with positioning in that sense. And language too. You'll have a good understanding of language.
So we do all of this work, and let's be real. I mean, this is a fair amount of work. Is that correct?
Oh my, it's unreal amount of work. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just don't think that this is a silver bullet. Oh, great, I'm going to do this. Just expect it's going to take you a while to figure this all out. However, it's critical. I don't think there's anything more critical to this. Whenever I grew up in sales, I didn't do this stuff, and I can't tell you how much that hurt me. And it takes you a while to really start to understand it. So now you do all this work, and then how do you start to create this cold email system then? So can you talk to us a little bit about how do we then systemize our cold outreach to leverage all of this work that we've just done?
Yeah, well, let me first say that I want to address the first thing about the time it takes to do this. And I'm going to start that quick conversation with, look at the last 2 years of your business, year of your business. Tell me which channels you've tried systematically that don't work and which messaging you've tried that doesn't work. And my guess is that if you ask a revenue leader today, that they're going to be like, I have no idea. I have no idea what channels we tried, and I have no idea. The SDRs are writing their own messaging,
and they haven't any.
Yeah. That's exactly. We've tried everything and it hasn't worked. Do you have any better ideas? And so I had a great conversation with the folks at Alice, and I'm like, who churns? He's like, the people that come to Alice and are like, if I just had this one great channel, and if I could just send them a physical package, they'll respond. It's like, attention is not your problem. Like, it's not the problem in most cases, right? And so yeah, so you have a lot of sunk cost fallacies, like if I just have another tactic. So that's the first piece. How you turn this into a system? Well, I think the first thing is you do need to figure out, is email the right channel for your customers? You need to survey your customers to know like how often you check email, like is thinking of, and I think one of the questions in Emma's survey was like, where do you get your information about new products and services, right? Like that's what you need to know. And so if they're like, oh, Reddit and only Reddit, well, then maybe you should be in Reddit. Like But let's say that like, oh, well, from email, actually, like I get emailed all the time. Like I read email newsletters. I'm like a big email fan. Great. Now you have some understanding that it's email. So now that you know that it's email, what this looks like as a system is you're going to need a aggressively good revenue operations team. And when I see things fail, this is like the primary reason why they fail is like, okay, now how do you ingest data and how do you automate it? And they're like, I don't know. So like you need those pieces. And once you have those pieces, the way that this works is generally the data comes in. Most of the data, the way that we do it is we first score the TAM, right? So we actually download all of the domains from a service like harmonic.ai or apollo.io. We'll enrich those domains with just kind of general heuristics about what's important. So in many cases, that's like, what do department sizes look like relative to total employees? What does traffic look like? What kind of industries are they in? Like really sort of, not like basic plus stuff. Then once we have an idea about, okay, well, are we playing in the right sandbox? We've got some portion of the TAM now that's like really good for us. Then what we're doing is we're looking for, we basically take the data, combine the TAM enrichment stuff that we've done with the data that we found at with any kind of moment data, and we'll inject that into usually the top part of the email. And that top part of the email is just a series of observations, usually. And sometimes they're like, this is true, but this is also true. How do you square these two things? Like for us, for example, it's like, oh, I saw that you're hiring your first sales rep and you're asking them to build lead lists. Do you know that's like a fruitless endeavor? Like, don't have them do that. Like we should do that instead. That's not how I talk about it, but then it's like 1, 2, 3. So you've got some evidence, then you've got an insight, and then generally I do things like I like to offer them some value for free. So in some cases it's like, hey, like, we're an expert at this. Do you want us to like come into your business? Like for us, it's like, hey, like happy to do a free go-to-market strategy. I'm eventually going to get to a place where I'm doing outbound with copy and lead list for my leads. So it's like, hey, Bryan, I know that, you do X. Here are people that have X problem. Here is a list for you. Here's copy that I would deploy to them. Like, do you want me to help you automate it? So that's like so meta, but that's like value, right? That's like like you now have an account list, you know why you should reach out to them. Like I've done some go-to-market strategy for you. And so then I try to think about, once I have some evidence about like why you're convinced you should even continue on an email, what can I provide you that is most compelling, that requires the least effort from you? And so I don't ask double-barreled questions. Hey, Bryan, does this sound good to you? Also, do you have 15 minutes and a whale? Will you ship the whale to my house? Let's get 15 minutes. And then also, do you give a shit about what I've said? Like, just tell me all 3 of those things in one answer. Yeah. Like I don't do any of that stuff. It's just like, did I get it right? Like that's most of my emails. Like, is this junk? Like, is this junk? And it's okay if it's junk, but like, just tell me. So